With tensions high both in West Asia and in Europe, and India importing 85% of our crude oil, energy security remains one of India's biggest challenges. And in the 11th year of the Narendra Modi government, with me on this India Today special broadcast is Hardeep Puri, India's Petroleum Minister, a diplomat for over 39 years. Mr. Puri, welcome on India Today. Sir, your biggest challenges in today's day and age when you look at missiles flying in West Asia and in Europe?
Insofar as the energy sector is concerned, I don't think the issue of challenges is part of our, it's not an anxiety factor. At any given point of time, we import energy from 40 countries in the world. The Modi years have seen a diversification in terms of countries' origins of supply. We used to import from 27, we are importing from 39, now even from Argentina 40. We have a good story to tell, both in terms of diversification of imports, increase of exploration and production in crude oil and gas. Every year our gas production goes up, natural gas, by 18%, but we are still, because the economy is booming, last quarter was 7.5% rate of growth, or thereabouts. We still import 50% of our gas also. But there are some fantastic potential which is being realized. Our biofuels mix was 1.4, 1.5% in 2015. We are now doing 20%, 6 years in advance. As a result of which we have been able to pay our farmers 1 lakh crore by way of compensation. Our green hydrogen story is beginning to take shape. IOCL has just awarded a big tender to one of our companies, and if that is replicated, I can tell you, we buy $1.5 billion worth of energy. Last year it was $1.39 billion. This thing, it goes up also. We can substitute our domestic clean energy instead of this and increase our exploration and production.
Do we have a timeline on this, and especially on
I'll
exploration?
tell you what, timelines are very simple. In the oil and gas sector, never go for a timeline. In 1956, an economist in Shell said oil will peak by 2000. A lot of people made bad investment decisions. I can tell you, oil and gas will be required in the Indian economy for many decades to come. But green hydrogen is taking off, biofuels are taking off, CNG is taking off, CBG is taking off. I would say you can come to a point of how much green hydrogen we'll be able to produce. I think our current target of 5 million metric tons by 2030 is very conservative. If this tender works well and we replicate it, because all you need is low-priced clean solar energy and electrolyzers of a big scale, and we have both. I think in the coming years, India will not only be one of the largest refining centers, one of the largest consumers, but one of the most successful stories in green energy transition. Exact timelines I don't know, but I think between 2025 and 2035, you will have a very good transition taking place.
So next 10 years, you think are going to be extremely promising?
Yeah, because I'm going by the last 11 years. Because we were at 1.5% biofuel blending in 2014, we're at 20% now. So will this go up to 25% or 30%? I don't know, because the ecosystem has to grow with it. But green hydrogen, yes, I'm very, very confident that green hydrogen, because green hydrogen we can produce, it's the cost of production. I mean, today the last tender has brought it down from $5.50 per kilo, which was a global price, to less than $4. If we can now replicate on scale, it comes below $3, green hydrogen takes off.
Now, globally, where do we stand on ensuring that our diplomacy also helps us get more crude oil, cheaper crude oil, more sustainable crude oil? In Russia, it did.
If you've been able to diversify from 27 countries to 40 countries, obviously your diplomacy has helped somewhere. But more than the diplomacy, I think it's the way Modi's India has positioned itself, largely because of the very clear, decisive guidance given by the Prime Minister. You remember there was a time when the Western press was going after us saying, oh, you're buying from Russia, Russia is under sanction. So I corrected them. Russia is not under sanction. Russian oil going to Hungary was exempt. Russian oil going to China was exempt through a pipeline. Russian oil going from Sakhalin to Japan was exempt.
True.
And all that we were told to do is buy within a price cap. No, that is music to my ears. I can buy from there and I can buy cheaper also. So at no stage have we accepted, and we were very clear, the Prime Minister's duty, moral duty, is to his consumers, his citizens. And today, therefore, we are buying from the Gulf, which is geographically proximate. We are buying from far-off places like Argentina also. We are buying a lot from Russia. And we will buy whoever can give us a particular grade of crude at the most reasonable, most economical price. We float tenders at the point of importation. And if you can deliver it at our port for the price at which you've tendered, we are happy.
Okay. In all of this, let me also quickly switch to another aspect that's, making headlines. The US president, he's talking about, you talk about Prime Minister being very decisive. The US president talks about him having played a role in bringing a ceasefire between India and Pakistan.
I think everyone on our side has already corrected it.
And yet he continues to say so.
No. That you're going into another area of discussion. I'm not going to succumb to the temptation of joining that discussion. Everyone in a decision-making thing has clarified it in our time that we got a request from the Pakistani side. In 22 minutes, please remember, 22 minutes, 9 of their sites, which are terror sites, hundreds of kilometers in, Muridke, Bahawalpur, the security infrastructure, Daito Taiwan, the evidence of that devastation is available in the public domain globally through commercially available satellite imagery. After that, they called us, the DGMO called us, and we responded. You can have 2 points of view, whether we should have hammered them more or not, but a democratically elected Prime Minister took the correct decision. And I think it's there. And after that, I don't want to get into that rest.
Please do.
No, I will not. Because you have to, there are responsible ways of dealing with country. I think the External Affairs Minister made it very clear. It was a bilateral request received from their DGMO, to which our DGMO responded, and that's the absolute fact.
And yet, we have leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi,
Now,
saying Narendra surrender, and Modi said,
the leader of opposition to whom you referred is one of a kind. He's literally one of a kind. I don't think there are too many people like him. And if you were to compile all the statements he's made all over the years, so I was being interviewed by someone they're surprised. I said, what are you surprised at? That he's the leader of opposition, or you're surprised that he speaks that language? I would like the leader of opposition to concentrate with issues. If he doesn't have the familiarity, the functioning of his governments in Himachal and Karnataka, see what all is happening there. Insofar as this thing, he should not make any statement which either has the effect of undermining the official position of the security forces, and at least he should listen to his own party members who went as part of the all-party delegations outside. Their statements are on record. Why is it so difficult to be a Deshbhakt? Why do people in India have difficulty with that? Statements by at least 3 or 4 of their leaders come to my mind. Yeah. And I think if he only listens to that, he might gain something. He might learn something.
So, by implication, are you saying that Rahul Gandhi is not being a Deshbhakt?
I didn't say that. You said it. No, he said you said some surrender or something. What is he talking about? Has he seen, compared to what his government did in 22 minutes, the devastation which was visible through satellite imagery? Who asked for the ceasefire there? The Pakistanis did, and we responded. So what is he talking about?
True. So, and when the US president in a conversation with the Russian president refers to his role in that ceasefire, or in the court of law, they mentioned that. You've served in the United States. Saying it in a court of law has massive ramifications. Why would they be doing that?
I would tell you one thing. I think we should keep our discussion to the Indian context, in the Indian bilateral context there, because you might be treading into territory. There is enough distraction there going on otherwise, and you could have a light-hearted conversation on those. I don't want to have that with you, because I'll say we have made it clear at the level of the External Affairs Minister that this was bilateral. By the way, that is consistent with the line we've always taken. We reject any third-party mediation, and that's been our position for a long time.
What do you make, sir, of Pakistan being on the UN Committee on Counter-Terrorism? Also, because you've served as a permanent representative at the United Nations, you understand the United Nations, and a country like Pakistan, a terrorist state, is on the counter-terrorism chair.
It's like this. It's very simple. Whenever a country is elected as a non-permanent member of the Security Council, all the committees which are available are handed out, distributed. The Counter-Terrorism Committee or the 1973 Committee was earlier only headed by permanent members of the Security Council. When we came on the Security Council in 2011 and 12, I was appointed chairman of the 1973 or CTC, Counter-Terrorism Committee. And then I served on that for 2 years. Then when we were on the Security Council next time, our then PR, I think Tirumurti also served on it for 1 year. Pakistan has not been appointed chair. It's one of the vice chairs, which has no significance. So if somebody's tom-tomming that around, they divide the committees. In any case, Pakistan has to defend itself in terms of, whether TRP is going to be listed, it has to use that. Yeah. And many Pakistani entities are proscribed entities. People who live in Pakistan are in the proscribed entities in there. So I think the fact that Pakistan has used terror as an instrument of state policy is well known. So, and they happen to be a member of the UN Security Council for a 2-year period. Well, that's a given because it's going by rotation. But I'm absolutely sure that the focus, international focus on terrorism has been there and it will be there even sharper on them.
So, as chair of Taliban Committee and vice chair of Counter-Terrorism Committee, it's not a cause for concern?
Of course, not at all. Not at all.
It will put the focus on that terror.
It will, and if they are there in any of these committees as vice chair or something, focus comes more on them. People catch on to these things. Yeah.
And the Indus Waters Treaty, when Pakistan says if Indus Waters Treaty is held in abeyance, that's an act of war, it's a violation.
No, don't take Pakistani statements. Pakistan's statements and the statements of the Honorable Leader of the Opposition are at the same level of irresponsibility. These are bilateral agreements between India and Pakistan by the World Bank. The situation has changed since then. If one commits acts of terror, which is taking away the most fundamental right of all, which is the right to life, and killing innocent people, you don't expect us. PM has made it clear. No combination of talks with terror. None. Unlike the Congress government, if terror attack hota tha, you would sit down on the negotiating table. No trade with talks, unlike the previous Congress government. And water and blood don't mix. I think it's absolutely a given. And all these friends of Pakistan or here or elsewhere, they will get the message loud and clear. Operation Sindoor has set a new template, a new benchmark. There's 22 minutes of that operation. By the way, the operation is not over. It is an ongoing operation. And I would urge caution by those who seek to do this some of loose talk, that any act of terror will be viewed as an act of war. That is the fundamental change, and that the Indian state and the political arm and our armed forces will act with a degree of resoluteness, vehemence, and without restraint. And all this business about, X, Y, Z, nuclear, this, that, I think that bluff has been called, and it will be called even more effectively if there is misbehavior of that type.
So you're not worried about Field Marshal Asim Munir being at the helm of affairs?
What did you say, Field Marshal? What did you say?
Field Marshal Asim Munir.
No, I'm not worried, no.
And so the nuclear bogey doesn't matter.
You see, the point is, in this area of social media and people putting memes or whatever they call around, there are a lot of funny stuff going around. But I think people in responsible positions should also step back and say that, if they say something which is irresponsible, it can be magnified in terms of the extent of irresponsibility and in the extent of self-inflicted wounds. And I think some of these people are going through that just now.
Mr. Puri, for joining me here on this India Today special broadcast, many thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.